our way. I'm not going to say I'm excited. Imagine a coach getting excited about practice. I don't want to make that mistake.
Do you have any roster news?
Yeah, a couple things. We've given Nick Shimonek and Laurent Taylor and Alden Harfar permission to look at other schools. They've all indicated some interest maybe in looking at different places. And injury-wise, right now I think we're fairly healthy other than Damon Powell had a hernia surgery probably about 2 weeks ago now. So he's going to, I would imagine, be out mostly through camp and maybe even some of the early season play. I don't know how fast he'll be able to throttle up a little bit, but other than that, I think we're doing okay.
So you do expect Damon to be back at some point then during the season?
You know, worst case scenario, and you never know. It'll probably be Big Ten play, but I'm hoping before then.
Did Shimonek give any reason why he was?
Yeah, it's a little bit like Cody a year ago. You know, I don't think it was a selfish thing at all. Nick has been just tremendous. He's a good quarterback, and I think a very good prospect. I think it's as simple as he looked up and just saw two players that are ahead of him that have been on the field, and I think he's got great respect for those guys. It's not a case of him being afraid of competition, but I think probably being realistic and saying, I'm going to try to find a faster path to the field. Quarterbacks are a little bit like point guards in basketball. You know, it's hard to rotate them, and it's just, So we support him all the way.
Kirk, you get to the point now where you're not surprised when a quarterback leaves. It seems like that's a position we get a lot of turnover.
You know, I think college basketball is at an all-time high for transfers right now, right? And, there's probably some parallels there because there's only so many opportunities for quarterbacks. So. And like I said, with Cody last year, he couldn't have been any better. He came in right after camp was over, promised he'd continue to compete as hard as he could and work. But he said, if it didn't work out, he may want to look at a different place, and I get that. I mean, everybody wants to play. So all we can ask is when a guy's on the team to be a great team member, and Nick certainly did that. Cody did the same thing.
Does that move the clock up on Tyler Wiggers coming in? I mean,
hopefully not. Hopefully we can redshirt him and just give him a year to get acclimated. And, in a perfect world, we'll be able to go through with two quarterbacks, and if not, then guess what? You're in there. So hopefully we don't get to that point.
Does that add a little extra nerves for you?
Not really. No, I mean, we've had seasons where we didn't have any quarterbacks, so no, it's all relative. Well, last year. Was that last year? I think we were going into it.
You guys had 2 hours.
A year ago, yeah.
You guys had 2 hours with players this summer, I believe. Coaches could have 2 hours. How did you guys use those?
Was
it 2 hours a week or something like that?
The way I understand the rules, and I think there's probably at least 100 interpretations of that rule based on what I've heard. In theory, it's like spring conditioning. You could have 2 hours in a classroom with the guys and go through film, that type of thing, X and O. Somewhere in there, it's the question is what's realistic. And our approach was we utilized maybe a couple hours, probably about an hour and a half, 3 hours total, probably prior to the 4th of July. And then I thought it was important our coaches, be normal citizens for a while. So in a nutshell, I think, we were probably under 4 hours for the entire summer. That may be wrong, it may be right, but that's just my feeling is the strength conditioning staff has the guys in the summertime. I thoroughly enjoyed the opportunity to go watch the guys train, but as far as working with our players, I'm not real big on that thought, and I'm not sure it's a good thing nationally, quite frankly. And I think some people maybe read the rule a little differently than we did too. But that's neither here nor there. But long story short, I think we're probably under 4 or 5 hours for the total summer with our guys.
Do you think? I think most of them last year were watching film on their own anyway.
Yeah, and to me that's a healthy thing. We want to empower them to take some ownership and take some responsibility, the older guys, and it seemed to work out pretty well last year, and that's kind of the path that we took. And I think there's a lot of value in us not holding their hands all the time, all year round. I think it's important too they get away from us, and we get away from them. That's healthy for everybody, and it's kind of like your wife. Sometimes it's good to have a day or two away from each other. Then they appreciate us that much more when they get back. But I think it's just a healthy thing, and I think that's one of the things that Commissioner Delaney's talked about is just the workload that kids have and the challenges that they face. I think that's something, as we move along, that'll continue to be discussed.
Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, always be rivalries probably, and Minnesota, throw them in there.
We thought that until the last couple of years.
now that you guys are all in the same division, and there's you come out the other end, with Perth in the Big Ten title game. Do you think that'll add a little bit to these, or can you add to these rivalries?
I think the big thing is that personally, I think all of us, fans, people competing, enjoy the opportunity to play the teams that are near us. I think that's just a good thing. It's if you're starting out, that's probably how most conferences began. So it was a little bit strange over the last couple of years to have some geographic challenges that way. I guess you could argue right now, I don't know when the first time we go to Rutgers is, but it's a ways down the road. So that part's going to be interesting too. But it's all part of the change in football. I personally am glad that we're playing all the teams that surround us. I think I'm correct in saying that, and I think that's a good thing. I really just think it's a good thing for fan interest and for everybody involved.
Have you or your assistants felt any difference in New Jersey when it comes to recruiting and being now that they're a little more?
It's early in the game, but my initial response was that this may not be good for us, but now in retrospect, I'm not so sure. With the Big Ten being more of a household name out there, and we're not there yet, certainly, but I think in the end it might be easier for a player to think about coming out to the Midwest and leaving that area. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. I know we've lost a lot of recruiting battles in fairly recent years to school, kids in that Maryland, D.C. area going down to the ACC schools. So this may help it open the door a little bit for us. We'll have to see how it plays out.
How good's New Jersey high school football?
I think it's excellent. I think there are good players everywhere in the country. Just maybe not as many in certain areas, but I think New Jersey football has long been very good. And if you just look at some of the players that have come from South Jersey and played on our football teams, or go back to the '80s, we were more in North Jersey at that point. There's been some good players, certainly, that have good stories that have evolved.
We talked about academics earlier this summer. In regard, it was probably Markel Smith. Did you kind of see that he wasn't going to be able to?
We knew there was a chance that wouldn't work out. So we knew that as a decision we made during the recruiting process to follow through.
Is there anybody else on that sort of line, and any other injury?
I think we're pretty close right now. We'll probably know more here next Monday. I guess we'll get together. So, but I think we're in pretty good shape. But we're not there yet. So,
did summer school going another week and running into camp? Did you have to change your schedule?
Done your homework. Yeah, it's a whole new set of circumstances, and it's interesting. Some places I've talked with that have a lot of people have had that challenge traditionally. The good news is we can't do 2 days next week anyway because of rules, so that's a break for us. A lot of people that have encountered that seem to have their class schedules a little bit more centralized, whereas ours go all day. But in a nutshell, our guys are for the most part free after 4 o'clock, so pretty much our day won't begin till then, and we may be there till 1 in the morning. But what I don't think we want to do is bring them back the next morning. Some people bring them back and meet with them at 6 o'clock. To me, I'd like to get it done and then have them be on their own rest of the time for their academics and kind of segment things a little bit.
So more night practices in Kinnick, maybe?
Well, I don't know if we'll be in Kinnick, but the first week, we'll be 7 o'clock at the earliest on all 5 of those days.
We talked to Gary the other day about the practice or the facility, the operations center, and not being able to get there to the bye week. Has that bothered you at all, or frustrated?
Well, in a perfect world, we would have been in it in June or 10 years ago, but the world's not perfect as we know. So, I can say this: the people that have worked on it have just been extremely dedicated. They've really hustled and worked hard and been fantastic. It was a hard winter, obviously, so that helped derail things a little bit. But the big thing I don't want to do is just be half in, half out. So we're just going to wait till the bye week, and that way we can do it as a unit. The only thing that might get left behind would be the weightlifting part. We might right now we go over to the indoor and then come back, so it may be the opposite direction. But that's not a big deal. But the football operation part has to be together. Otherwise, I think we're just asking for trouble. And then the other part about the bye week, I want to at least have a couple days where the novelty wears off for our players, because it's going to be really exciting for them.
Could you ever imagine taking a team to Ireland like Penn State's doing?
If we couldn't play in a bowl game, maybe. And I don't even know, do they have a bye week after that? I took a team to Hawaii, when I was at Maine. At that time, it was the longest trip in the history of college football, and we really made it long because I think we went through Boston, Atlanta, Denver, or Dallas, up to Hawaii. So it was like a 6-week trip in a matter of about 5 days. But But, we were at Maine at that time, and if we weren't playing in a bowl game, I think that was, I think Billy O'Brien was behind that, and I think it was kind of his impetus for the whole deal. It was a novel thing for the guys and kind of something to help change the pace. So to answer your question, I sure hope we don't go to Ireland. We're not looking at expanding there, are we? I should ask that.
Have you gotten any closer to hiring for those personnel positions?
Well, obviously Seth Wallace has joined the staff. I'm really excited about that, to get Seth back. Norm always said that Seth was probably the best GA he's ever had, and that's saying something because we've had outstanding grad assistants. So really thrilled, and Seth's doing a wonderful job. We have created another position, so we're advertising that right now. Hopefully, I don't know if we'll be done by next Monday. I'm hoping we can be, and if we're there, I'll be able to announce that at that point. But I think I have a pretty fair idea where we're heading. I feel really good about it, and feel great about our staff. We got a great group of guys.